All right, so here's guess and check continued. I'm going to do a few more examples with guess and check because what we've seen so far at this point is whenever that first term has a coefficient of 1. So let's take a look at what happens when that coefficient is not equal to 1. So let's take a look at those examples here. So what happens if I have 5x squared plus 19x plus 12? Okay. Now, again, I know I need to get this into a binomial times a binomial, right? So I know I need a binomial times a binomial. So I need to take a look at this first one here. Well, there's really not too many combinations of numbers of variables that's going to get me to 5x squared. I mean, technically I could put a 5 here and an x squared here, but that would really mess everything up. So I know I at least want an x and an x here. So if I break down the 5, if I break down that 5, the only options for 5 are 1 and 5, right? So I'm going to start with x and 5x. If I start with x and 5x, so 1x and 5x, then I can look at the 12. I can break 12 down and know it's 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. And what happens now is I can take a look and see which one of these pairs is going to match up with the 1 and 5 to get me there. So, if I start with the ones that are closest together and I sneak a 3 and a 4 in here, I got to look at my second sign. It's a positive, meaning they're going to be the same sign. Then I look at the first. What sign are they both going to be? They're both going to be plus. So plus here and a plus here. Boy, did we just luck out or what? All right, so I have to check. X times 4 is 4x. 3 times 5 is 15x. 15x plus 4x is 19x. That's what we wanted, so we're done. We got lucky on our first guess. Now, if the 3 and 4 didn't work, we could switch the 3 and 4 around, so I'd have a 4 here and a 3 here. If neither one of those combinations worked, I could switch it over to the 2 and 6 and try that out as well. But it just so happens, starting with the ones that are closest together, we were able to get to it pretty quickly. All right, let's try another example here. Let's try another example. All right, so we have 2x squared plus 3x minus 9. Okay, so 2x squared plus 3x minus 9. Now again, I know I need to turn it into a binomial times a binomial. And let's take a look. All the factors of 2 we have are 1 and 2. So I need a 1x here and a 2x here. Factors of 9 are 1 and 9, 3 and 3. So I want to start with the factors that are closest together. Well, I don't have a lot of options here, so 3 and 3 are going to go in. The second sign is negative, which means that these signs are different. And the bigger one needs the plus sign. Well, bigger one what? The bigger, 3 is the same size as 3. So I look at product. I have a 1 times 3 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6. So I know that this product would need the positive, and this one will need the negative. Now we check. X times negative 3 is a negative 3x. 3 times 2x is a positive 6x. And 6x minus 3x is 3x. And that's the one we were looking for. So these are my factors. Well, we've gotten lucky 2 times in a row. It makes me think that this factoring thing isn't so difficult, is it? Let's find out. Alright, so let's try another one. Let's try 2x squared plus 5x plus 2. All right, we know that we want to turn this into a binomial times a binomial. And we have factors of 2 are 1 and 2. These factors of 2 are 1 and 2. So 1x and 2x. So I got a 1x here and a 2x here. My factors of 2 are 1 and 2. So let's get 1 and 2. My second sign is a positive. So these signs have to be the same. And they're both going to be pluses. So I got a plus and a plus. And now I have to check. Time to check. X times 2 is 2x. 1 times 2x is 2x. 2x plus 2x is 4x. Oh, man. Okay, so I needed to get to 5x, and I'm only at 4x. Well, what can we switch around? I could switch the signs, but they're both pluses, so that doesn't help me. So now I'm going to look to switch my numbers, 1 and 2. What happens if I switch those around? Switch the 1 and the 2. If I put the 2 here and the 1 here, x times 1 is 1x. 2 times 2x is 4x. 4x plus 1x. Hey, that's what I was looking for, was the 5x. Right? So sometimes it's not going to work the first time. And it's really, you cannot know unless you double check and make sure. So when it comes to the guess and check method, you always check to make sure you're doing it right. Always check to make sure you're doing it right. The only other hint I'll give you is that if there's a greatest common factor here, it's going to make this much more difficult. So bring out the greatest common factor first. Let's see if I can find a really good example of that. Sure can. All right, let's try the next one here. Last example for this video. All right, we have 9x squared plus 66x plus 21. Now again, here we're going to get it into a binomial times a binomial. But before we do that, there's something here that's a little bit fishy, right? 9, 66, and 21, they all have a 3 in common. They all have a 3. So if I bring the 3 out front, 9 divided by 3 is 3, so I'll be left with a 3x squared. 66x divided by 3 is a positive 22x. And then 21 divided by 3 is 7. So that means that my 3 is still out front. But now what I'm breaking down is the leftover part. So I pulled the greatest common factor out, and the 3 still, that greatest common factor is still going to hang around. It's like a little brother, right? The one you didn't want to go to the movies that weekend, but your mom's like, he has to go. Well, he has to come along, right? So what are my options for 3x squared? Well, the options for 3 are 1 and 3, so I'll have an x and a 3x. My options for 7 are 1 and 7, so I'll have a 1 and a 7. The second sign is positive, meaning I have to have the same signs here, and they both have to be plus. Now I have to check. X times 7 is 7x. 1 times 3 is 3x. 3x plus 7x is 10x. I am way off. I need to get all the way up to 22. Well, it's going to be tough to get to 22 this way. So I need to make an adjustment. Well, that's not going to work. So, again, I cannot switch my signs because they're both positive, but I can switch my numbers around. My 7 and my 1. Well, x times 1 is just a 1x. 7 times 3 is 21x. Hey, now. 21 plus 1 is 22x. That's what we needed. That's what we needed. So this tells me then that these are my factors for that problem.